Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has addressed the UN General Assembly today. He told the world leaders Ukraine wants to end this conflict, but said it must be a just and real peace. He went on to issue a warning about Ukraine's nuclear power plants.
Recently, I received yet another alarming report from our intelligence. Now Putin does seem to be planning attacks on our nuclear power plants. Any missile or drone strike, any critical incident in the energy system could lead to a nuclear disaster. A day like that must never come. And if, God forbid, Russia causes a nuclear disaster at one of our nuclear power plants, radiation will not respect state borders. And unfortunately, various nations could feel the devastating effects.
Well, Douglas Herbert listened to Zelensky's speech in his entirety. He's with me now. And Douglas, something else Zelensky said is that his country would not accept a deal that was, in his words, imposed from the outside. What did he mean by that?
Yeah, well, and he also said, right, we need peace. Peace is needed, but it must be a real, just peace. Look, when Zelensky looks around, he's kept his cool, he seems pretty composed, but he's understandably very concerned when he looks around the world right now. And as he sees it, more and more pressure is building, a lot of countries, as he sees it, to reward Russian aggression. And rewarding Russian aggression means basically letting Putin dictate the terms and letting eventual negotiations, when and if they happen on Vladimir Putin's terms. Those are terms which, as Zelensky would see it, and the majority of Ukrainians would see it, amounts to capitulation. That is acquiescing to the facts on the ground, which are that Russia now occupies roughly 20%, about 18% of Ukraine's territory. He says, rewarding Russian aggression from the Ukrainian standpoint, what does it do? It freezes the conflict in place. We've had a lot of frozen conflicts in the past, dating all the way back to the Soviet Union. And freezing the conflict basically allows Russia to hold on to that large chunk of territory, that part of Ukraine that it now occupies. By the way, including Crimea. What his entire message to world leaders is, and he said this again and again, and I know it gets really difficult for people to keep hearing the same message, but he can't drive home the message enough. As he sees it, as most Ukrainians will tell you, this is a brutal war of aggression waged in order to resurrect, a colonial-style war of aggression, trying to resurrect a past that no longer exists, and impose its will on a country that has been sovereign for over 30 years. Whatever Putin's grand imperial ambitions may be, capitulating is basically rewarding his aggression. He called out countries such as, specifically, he named China and Brazil, who he fears are trying to bolster their own role as global players, their own role on the world stage, by putting forward these peace plans, which are really just plans masquerading as peace plans. They're nothing of the sort, as Zelensky would see it. They're simply disguised plans which essentially, going back to rewarding Russian aggression. That is a central message. Ready to talk peace, but it can't be any peace. It has to be a peace which doesn't amount to us going to a table where we've already given up about 20% of our land to a Putin who has shown zero signs of backing down.
Douglas Herbert, thanks very much.